Hi, I'm David Brett-Lavelle. I'm a chef lecturer here at North Herts College.
And I'm Anthony Gascoigne, also a chef lecturer at North Herts College.
So for this video today, we're going to be doing a poached Plaice Paupiette with a salmon mousse filling. So what we've got here is some that's already prepared, so you can see the end product. And we're going to be reverse engineering how to do it from the finished product backwards. So really important that we've got our Plaice. We've got it already prepped. So there was a previous video on how to prep Plaice. Plaice is a sustainable fish.
Sustainable fish. So a good site for students to use is the MSc Good Fish Guide. Obviously you can just type in the name of the fish and make sure what we're using is as sustainable as possible. Plaice at the moment is okay.
Good, thank you. So what else we've got here is a salmon mousse. We've kept it really simple. So we've just got the salmon. We've tried to use the belly because it's nice and fat and we know it's really rich. And we've just emulsified it with some egg yolk, egg white and some cream. Seasoned it so it's just nice and simple because we want to keep the flavours really fresh on this dish. So to work on this, quite straightforward. We want to work with our cling film. We're going to be wrapping it. We want to be careful. I'm using a chopping board because we can cut it to the size that we want. Also, we want to be doubling it up. So just that extra protection when we're poaching that it's not going to burst out. There we go. What we want to do at this stage, if you take a damp cloth or a tea towel, just brush out any air gaps because we tend to do that. And when it comes to poaching or laying it flat, we get these imperfections that we don't want.
Just keeps it neater, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I've got my cling film on my blue chopping board because we know that we're dealing with raw fish. We're using the correct chopping boards. I'm going to lay it down the presentation side, my presentation side of the fish. So that's the opposite side of the skin because it has less impurities. So when it comes to poaching, we want to keep it as white and as clear as possible.
Tends to discolour, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's just where the membrane is and that just changes colour. So what we're doing, we just want to create the best way possible to get a rectangle. We know the fillets are not going to match up, and that's okay. Make sure we're in the centre of our cling film. So now we've got our salmon mousse, we're just going to use a palette knife and we're going to brush it on. So some people might tend to go from this side, work down. I like to start from the bottom end, work up, because I feel I have a bit more control with that. So start with a small piece. And we're just almost buttering it on. We want to get a nice coating. I'm not too worried about trying to get it close to the edge because once we wrap it, we can add some extra to the side to fill in that gap.
Are there any other flavourings we could put in that mousse, Chef?
Yep, there's loads. I mean, we've gone for a salmon mousse because it's really contrasting in the colour, so we've got the white and the pink.
Okay.
But we could have herbs running through this. We could be adding extra oils. We're going to be finishing it with a lemon thyme butter. So it's how you want to keep the continuity of your dish. So when it comes to a later video, we'll be cooking this. We're going to have it with a pomme puree and a nice really reduction sauce. So we just want to keep it nice and simple. So we get to this point. We want to take our cling film and just start off the process. And then we want to roll it up. Bring it back. Just make sure our cling film is nice and clean. Again, this is our presentation side, so any impurities or anything that we leave on here is going to transfer through in the cooking process. And we're just using, I'm just going to fill in some of the sides there, Chef,
Okay.
to make it nice and even. Also, this is going to help with the cooking process because it's going to be a bit more even cook. So I'm protecting the edges there.
And what cookery method are you going to use for this, Chef?
We're going to be poaching this because it's just a nice delicate way. It's a delicate fish with delicate flavours, so we're trying to preserve that as much as we can. We're just going to make sure it's nice and tight. And we just want to twist the ends. What I'm doing is just wrapping them opposite ways. And we have a nice, if we want, we can roll it along the chopping boards to make it nice and tight. And then we're just going to tie it off.
So what other fish could you use for this instead of plaice? So if plaice was out of season, is there anything else we could use?
Well, you're trying to look for a flat fish again. We want to be going onto the website so we can have a look what's sustainable, what's in season. I mean, the reason for having things that are in season is because not just because they're sustainable, because they're going to have the most flavour and they're going to be readily available if you're putting it on your menu. What you don't want to be doing is getting something off season and having that difficulty of getting it to your restaurant or to, I just want to trim the sides off a little bit to make it nice and neat. And there we have our papillotes. Today we're going to be doing a paupiette of plaice with a salmon mousse served with mashed potatoes, some wild mushrooms and a reduction sauce. So in the previous video we showed how we make the paupiettes. We're just going to slowly poach it, no more than about 80 degrees for between 7 to 10 minutes depending on the size of your plaice. So while that's in, we get all our other ingredients ready. So what I've done previously to do this is I pre-poached some. So what I want to do is take one out, because ideally, even though it's poaching, we still need to let it rest and let it settle down a little bit. What I've done is just put it straight onto a J cloth, ready to take some of that excess liquid out. As we poach this, we're going to have our mashed potatoes warming up. We're going to be sauteing some wild mushrooms. We want to do this, it's nice and quick, only takes a few minutes. We're going to be using butter. Ultimately you could use with oil depending on your pan. I like to enrich it, it's only going to take a few minutes to cook. So while they're on, let's get that to temperature. Get some butter in there. Now, just want to be extremely careful here. We spent so much time preparing it. Now it's time for the final product. We want to have the same attention to detail. So we just want to take the ends, let some of that liquid run through. So what you might have is a tendency to push it through. You really don't. You've worked so hard to maintain that shape. Such a delicate fish. Just carefully with your knife, with your scissors, just cut through, just to have the exposed flesh. And there we have it. Our paupiette. We're ready to go in with our wild mushrooms. The reason we're adding wild mushrooms to this dish is just going to add a little bit of earthiness to it to balance our dish out. We're going to have some subtle flavours, but we've got some rich flavours when it comes to reduction sauce. So this is just to help balance the dish. So while they're sauteing, our potatoes are ready. You want to start plating. Get our reduction sauce on. Our reduction sauce, so what we've got there is, so we've just taken a mirepoix, some celery, some onions, some garlic, sweated it down with a bay leaf, with some peppercorns, reduced it with white wine. We've made a fish stock separately with the plaice bones. We've added a little bit of that to make a reduction sauce to intensify those flavours. Just finished it with a little cream, and we're going to add a little bit of butter to emulsify it some further and also to add some extra richness to it. Okay, as you can see, wild mushrooms are done. Really only take a few minutes. Just going to add a little bit of chopped parsley onto there. What you could do, you could add lemon zest to it, a little lemon juice, and that would add extra layers to your dish. Now to the plating. Really want a nice simple presentation. All I'm going to do is have a quenelle of potato, a few wild mushrooms, have the paupiette placed on, and finish it with a sauce. Really nice and easy. What I like to do, as you can see, the fish is really nice and bright. What I want to do is I have some melted butter that's just been infused with lemon, and I just want to brush a little bit on the top. It's just going to help with the shine, help retain its moisture so it doesn't dry out, give it a nice sheen. We can see our sauce is ready. Butter is emulsified, it's got a really nice shine. Just want to add some parsley onto the sauce. We're going to add a few wild mushrooms onto the plate. And we're going to have a Paupiette there. And be generous with the sauce. And there we have our Paupiette of Plaice with salmon mousse, mashed potatoes and wild mushrooms.